is what?
Bombastic.
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 We're going to start off with this one. This Cephalic Carnage's Xenosapien CD from 2007. Now, how does it come that you buy a CD and it takes you 15 years to open the shrink wrap?
Wow.
Well, stay tuned for our brand new feature and I'll tell you how. How does it happen? Okay, so cast your mind back. It's the early noughties and I'm running an online underground webzine. Every week, we're pushing out reviews of everything from labels like Seasons of Mist, Southern Lord, Havoc, Peaceville, Century Media. You get it. You get the idea. The physical copies came in at a crushing pace. I would send them out to one of several guys that wrote reviews for me. I couldn't keep up with them. I had metal nerds that were pecking away at keyboards from New Zealand to Michigan, everywhere in between, right? It seemed ridiculous to actually have to pay for music when you couldn't keep up with what was coming into the P.O. box every day. I was always a fan of Cephalic Carnage. I would put them alongside Pig Destroyer, Nazem, and Dillinger Escape Plan in terms of quality music. But every once in a while, during the malaise of sifting through hundreds of titles a year, I'd see a review somewhere and I'd say to myself, fuck, Relapse didn't send us that one. So then I was in the weird position of, should I buy it? By the time I buy it, it's already been out. It's going to be forgotten.
Greatest Relapse was. Their promo distribution back then was all over the place. I remember getting a copy of the new Rumpelstiltskin Grinder, and I think Black Anvil. And I was thinking, why am I getting this stuff and no copy of the new Nile record? Who knows? Some of these may have just gotten lost in the shuffle along the way. Christ, I have like 5 Fog Hat albums, and I don't remember a single one of their songs that would warrant me to seek them out.
You know they're English, right? They're not from the U.S. Southern rock from England. Okay, that's why it didn't work.
At any rate, by 2007, it was clear that these Colorado death grinders had really upped their game since their early full-on grind days, with all the movie samples and titles like Stepped in Cowshit Blues and Strung Out on Viagra.
That's a great one.
As great as that stuff was,
Great, yeah.
anyone who heard 2005's Anomalies record could attest to the fact that musically the band's chops had become all but lethal. The taffy twisting guitar leads of Zach Joe and Steve Goldberg were distinctive enough to establish the band as one of the best on the Relapse roster. I loved that record, but there was a bunch of different vocal cameos on Anomalies that sort of cooled my excitement for it.
I've never been big on the multiple singers thing, yeah.
I mean, it was cool to hear Barney from Napalm and John Gallagher from Dying Fetus singing over cephalic riffs. But there were just too many vocal cameos for me, like Travis from Cattle Decapitation, Lance from Macabre, etc.
At any rate, Xenosapien had been out for a couple of months, and I was convinced that I had already gotten a copy and sent it out for review, but apparently I hadn't. On top of that, a couple of the graphic arts guys that we were working with at the time went out of their way to tell me how awesome the artwork was on the new album. So apparently it was mind-blowing stuff. So I went ahead and ordered a copy and promptly forgot about it. And it's this copy right here. Just glancing down the titles, you can see that the band has matured lyrically. Megacosm of the Aquaphobics. Heptarchy. This one was going to demand multiple listens.
Taking a look through the CD booklet, I can see why the artwork was lauded the way it was. It's about 96 pages of disturbing images depicting tarot cards, giant maggots, some pretty disturbing extraterrestrials, and even a half-man, half-chicken sort of thing with full lyrics. There was a clear vinyl version that came out as well. I think my friend had it, but he complained that the CD actually had better and more art than the vinyl. Needless to say, Xenosapien doesn't disappoint. The aforementioned cyber whittles of Zach and Steve are sharper than ever this time and actually deliver the lion's share of the hooks on the record. Just put on something like Divination and Volation, for example. Absolutely maniacal tech death noodling, buzzing in both ears for the first 30 seconds or so. And just when you can hardly stand it, they unload into a fantastic hard-panned riff. The rest of the song is a glorious push-pull between the insanely heavy drumming of John Merriman and the dizzying guitar scribbles flying around hairpin turns. Let's play a little bit of Divination.
Crazy stuff. I mean, they're certainly not afraid to stretch out and experiment with other genres either at this point. Bruce Lamont's vocals and saxophone are a fantastic breath of fresh air and global overhaul device. One of the longer cuts on the album at nearly 6 minutes. The band grooving a convincing doomy pace. Vocalist Leonard Leal delivering lines like, I slit the sky and the rain bled down, and I reversed global warming. This guy's had a busy day. The track is followed by another 1 minute stutter stepping banger called Let Them Hate As Long As They Fear that reminds you that the band hasn't forgotten how to grind away short and fast. And this is interesting. A title, Touched by an Angel, seems unlikely on a grindcore album. Even so, it represents one of the most caustic tracks on this record. Leal packing in about 17 pages of lyrics in a 3 minute hard charger with one hell of a great chorus, reminiscent of 80s thrash, and plenty of harmonized guitar calculus from Zach and Steve. Check out this clip from Touched.
Last point would have to be the weird Primus like funk breakout and the Omega point, which I quite enjoyed, as those are the moments on this album that prove this band isn't afraid to do whatever the hell they want, despite what the OG fans might think about it.
Someone's got a funky riff.
Let's play the funky part.
Matter and energy have ended along with time and space. Multi-mechanistic only to answer the last question. After time contemplated intervals, the solution lies.
This is the Snaggletooth Extreme Metal Podcast.